Hey everybody, welcome to Drive Thru Review 251. Today I'm going to talk about Galaxy Defenders. This is a new release from Ares Games, the Kickstarter project from last year. Basically it's a co-op sort of tactical combat strategy game. It reminds me in a lot of ways of the Castle Ravenloft, Legend of Drizzt games and things like that. It's very much an XCOM theme. You basically have alien invasion happening, different types of agents, snipers and more marine-like guys happening, and you're trying to go on these different missions, possibly over the course of a campaign, or you can play the missions one shot. And you're trying to do different objectives. And I'll say right up front, the objectives feel very different from mission to mission. It's not always just go and kill everything, or go and do this or that. Sometimes you'll rescue scientists, sometimes you'll kind of crouch up and defend your home base for a number of turns. There's a lot of variety in here, so let's talk and jump quickly into kind of how a basic turn might work inside of one of these scenarios, and then I'll come back and tell you a little bit more about what I think of it. Okay, so the first thing to know about this game is you get a lot of stuff. So if we take a look here, you see you got the rule book, a bunch of minis, some more minis in the box there, all kinds of different tokens and different skills and devices and weapons, cards and different boards and things. So the first thing to look at here is the rule book, and I have a bunch of things to say about this. Now the rule book is excellent. The layout is actually pretty cool because if you can see here, you've got color coded stripes on the page. So you've got the blue, the red, and then here the green. So it kind of breaks it into sort of a general overview of the game in the green. So by the time you get done reading the green section, you got a good idea how the game's going to work. Then you get into some more specifics about the agents themselves, and then how you're going to be activating the aliens, because each player will have one or more agents that they control there. You can see this guy there. And then you maybe will take control of aliens similar to like Ravenloft or Drizzt, where each player gets different aliens that they're going to control during the alien phase. Now one thing I don't like about the rulebook is the typeset and the font. It's not that bad. I mean, it's just kind of initially sort of hard to get into. It's just something personal for me. I don't really like this sort of military type of typeset. But the rules are very clear, very well explained, etc. So the rulebook's good. Then you have here the storybook. And basically the way this works, this is really kind of a cool part of the game. Now you can play these different missions here. Let's look at the first mission here. So it'll tell you how to lay out the map, some different terrain that you're going to set out, some different tokens you'll put out. This will tell you how to make up the different decks. So you can see here's the close encounter deck, and so that's these cards here. So it'll tell you which cards to take out, roughly kind of which order to shuffle things in. So you can see with the events, you'll take these three, shuffle those, and then stack those on these, and these are shuffled like so. It'll tell you which aliens to put in, because you'll have an alien deck here. So you'll start the game with these two types of aliens there out on the board, and then it gives you maybe a special activity, the objectives and things like that. And then you can see here at the bottom the objectives. So this one basically is the first one. It's telling you to destroy the teleport points. So if you destroy all of these by the 11th round, then you're going to, next mission can be 2 or 3. You can choose. Now if you destroy at least 2 of these, by the end of the mission, there's actually 4 in the mission, then you have to go play mission 2. If you fail, half the agents are dead, or less than 2 of these are destroyed, then you have to play mission 1 again, basically. So it's basically a large campaign over 12 missions that you can kind of weave in and out of. Now there is a log sheet here, like so. You can keep track of stuff, scan this. It also has a really nice app for iPads and Android tablets where you can actually track your soldiers and how they're going to level up and all kinds of really cool things. So let's talk a little bit about your soldiers now. Now each soldier has this little sort of hexagon looking thing here that outlines what their characteristics are. So if we take a look at the Marine here, and then we have here the Biotech, sort of the healer. You can see their little avatar there, what their armor is going to be like in the middle. This is the amount of health here, so 8 and 10, and then the amount of movement points they get. Then they'll get a sort of a primary weapon here, so they've got a shotgun, they've got an assault rifle here. Then they have sort of a backup pistol here, that's sort of your secondary weapon. And then this guy here can actually heal, so he's got a little sort of syringe looking kind of weapon there, so he's a healer. And then each player here, each character there has a special ability, whether it's just a passive ability here, so when he heals, actually heals for an extra point of damage. This one is a sort of a opportunity fire, so if aliens move in front of him, he can do an opportunity fire. Then as you level up, you can get different things here. So we've got here these other hexes. We've got some skills here, some different devices. There's a lot more than this. And then you've got different types of weapons here. That's just a few of them. So as you take these, maybe I'll get a skill. I can go ahead and just kind of add that there on the side there. So now he's got another ability there. Or if I get another weapon here, I can take and add this weapon down there, so you can see maybe he'll get some better melee weapons there. Or you can get, usually most of the missions you can start with a device here, so you have a little special ability. You add that there. So the soldiers kind of start to take shape there. So you can make a note as you kind of level up, you know, which devices and weapons they have, or you can use the app, and the app's really cool. I'll show you in a little bit later, but it has a visual representation here, so you can just add all this stuff and then save it and then just open up the app next time you play. So just to show you some other tokens here that you get, so you can see you keep track of these tokens. These are really cool because it'll have a 3 and a 4, so if you lose a hit point you can just, you know, flip that over, and then the 1 and 2 here on this side, you can flip those over. Some of the different abilities you can get will give you shields, so you absorb your damage always first with the armor shields there. And then you've got different types of dice here. You can tell by what's depicted on the weapon. So if we take a look here, this is telling you you're going to roll 3 red dice. It's got a range of 2, and it has 3 ammo. Now, not all the weapons have ammo. As you can see, this one here has basically infinity ammo there. But if we put these on here like that, sometimes you'll use ammo and sometimes you won't. Basically, if you roll a side like this, you can see there's a little bullet there on that side there. So this basically means you get a hit and you've got to spend a bullet. So whenever you roll those, you have to spend those. Now you can get certain abilities and certain weapons that will tell you to kind of ignore those and things. But this is basically telling you the amount of dice that you roll, and so basically you're going to roll a certain number of hits, and then you maybe will have these little lightning bolt things here, and these will trigger maybe a special ability here. So this one is basically just an extra hit. Sometimes when you roll for armor, the lightning bolt in this case will actually heal the guy, so these little lightning bolt abilities are pretty cool too. So basically you add up all the hits, and then whoever's defending, whether it's the alien or you, you're going to take and roll these blue dice here, and you're trying to roll these shields here. Now sometimes it'll tell you to actually attack with the blue dice. You can see there's some more hits there, sort of like an upgraded hit die. Now some abilities will tell you to re-roll a die. Now if you ever have a skull like this, sort of the alien symbol, you can never re-roll that die. The alien can if they have an ability to re-roll this, but you can't. Those are locked out. And the other thing is here, you may get a jam. Where's the jam? Here's the little jam symbol there, that. So then you have to put a little jam token on there, and you've got to actually use up an action on your turn to unjam the gun. The other thing to note is once you re-roll a die, let's say I rolled that and it was maybe the GD, which does nothing in combat. If I use an ability to re-roll it again, I can never re-roll that again on that particular attack. So once you've re-rolled a die, you can only re-roll the one time. So it gives you a basic idea of what kind of information is going to be presented here, what some of the extra, skills and things will look like so. So let's set up a little bit of a board here. So these boards here, they're double-sided. And I will say I did have to kind of fix a little bit of warping, but I think it's fixed itself. I had this for a few days now, and I haven't seen, any warping really at all. So based on the scenario in the book, you will set up, different maps here. And the cool thing about the shape of these is that you can set these up in all kinds of different, ways. So I could do like this. I could have a bunch of really long ones like this, or whatever, L shapes. And there's a whole bunch of different setups in the scenario booklet. You can see you've got different interiors here. And the nice thing about it is the way that it delineates the line of sight is without you having to sort of figure out any terrain or memorize what terrain is. It just has these little sort of dashed edges. So these are buildings here, so you know that blocks line of sight. Or you have here this sort of hill action here. This is blocking line of sight like so. And the game comes with a bunch of featured terrains here. You can see these are double-sided as well. You could put like a building here in the middle or flip that over, and then you've got different things like so. And there's a bunch of different little ones. Each scenario will tell you to set those up. Now in addition to terrain, you're most of the time going to also be setting up these little teleport locations. And you can see these have symbols here that match what's going to show up on the dice. So when we kind of roll to see where things are going to teleport into, you're going to look, so you got a hit symbol, the skull symbol, the lightning bolt, and the shield. And what's going to be coming in here are these guys here. And you will set some of these up face down on the board sometimes to start the mission, and then maybe these will get teleported in by an event or by rolling the dice. And then as soon as a player has line of sight on one of those, you're going to see what it is. So if this guy comes in here, boom, we're going to flip that up. that's going to be a new alien. Sometimes it will be one of these little guys here, so maybe it'll just be nothing. You'll just go, oh, it's a sort of a false alarm. And this kind of symbolizes sort of the overlooking sort of home base, you know, trying to detect where the aliens are. Sometimes these are used, like for example, these are actually scientists that you can rescue. There'll be different things based on the scenario. You may also have some of these set up on the board here to like replenish ammo or get like special first aid kits and things, or be able to search different buildings and things like that. But really the trick of the game and sort of the cool part of the game are these little teleport signals here. These will come in, and so you'll want to sort of avoid these, because as soon as you see them, it's going to trigger an alien. A new alien's going to come on the board, and that you're going to have to deal with them. And the alien's going to then activate its AI to get at you. So let's talk quickly about how a turn will break down. So the first thing you're going to do on your turn, refresh any powers or items, and sometimes shields and armor will reactivate. The alpha agent promotion, so whoever you want to be the first player here will get the alpha agent token. And so you can pass that around and change that, similar to Eldritch Horror, where you can kind of do a little bit of tactics and maneuvering based on who you want to be the first player and who's going to go second, because it goes clockwise after this. So you can reassign this. Some effects and events and stuff will trigger off of that alpha agent as well. So you're going to do that, and then you're going to call getting the go wings. This is how you level up. So basically, if you killed an agent at all, or an alien at all, on the previous turn, you're going to roll 3 of these dice here. Everybody will do that. And then you're going to be wanting to roll these GDs here. And what's on there, as you can see, this is a way to level up your agent. So you can see level 1 or like bronze, you need to roll 1 GD, and then you can take a basic tactic. Well, you have these little tactic things here. So you can see I've got a basic tactic and improved tactic. And each agent has a spot here for that. So you can go and then you can get it randomly. The rules say to just go and find one that's good for you, but I find that can induce a little bit of AP. So, you know, screw it. We just grab them randomly and then kind of go for it. So each agent will roll for that, and then you get your basic tactic, and then later on you can get an improved tactic there. And so that's your first level there. So the second one, you can get a skill. Remember I showed you the little skill things there. And so, but you can see the requirement, the number of GDs that you need to roll is going to go up. So basically though, with the campaign, you kind of get one of these at most per mission. So if you level up once per mission, then that's it, you're done. And then if you didn't, you got lucky or unlucky and didn't level up at all, you get one last roll at the end of the game to see if you level up. So you get level up in progression, but it's a little bit random, but I actually kind of like it because it just, I don't know, it keeps it sort of not scripted and a little bit light. And you can see here you get different things. You can actually upgrade your agent. Let's flip them over. And so basically what that is, everybody gets the refreshed armor there. Once you flip them over, you can see it's red there. So now they're elite. So you're going to do that every turn. If you killed an agent on the last turn there, then you get reinforcements possibly, and then you check to see if you won the mission. Now reinforcements is interesting because as you kill agents and possibly search different rooms and things based on the mission, you're going to collect these little tokens here. And you just keep track of them like this, kind of marking them like so. And then once you get 4 of these, you can actually send home for reinforcements. And the rules are a little bit different based off if you're doing a one-shot or a campaign, but you can go ask for home and you get some upgraded, you know, devices and weapons and alien weapons technology. And that's kind of where this XCOM stuff comes in. You're sort of discovering and utilizing all of the agent, you know, or alien technology for yourself and making your guys cooler and better and everything. So you're going to do all that at the beginning of the round. So again, with the reinforcements, you get one of these little alien pieces if you killed an agent on the last round, to a maximum of 1. Because if you kill 2 aliens, then you know you don't get 2, you just get 1 per round. And then you can at most search for one of those on a round. And then we're going to go into here. So the agent turn, you get movement, action, combat. Now, you can do in any order. You can move and do combat, or you can do combat and then move, but you can't interrupt movement and do combat and then start moving again. You can interrupt movement with some actions. So you basically do all 3 of those: move, combat, action, in any order you want. And then after each player does their turn, then they're going to take, and if they control any aliens, activate them. And then you draw and resolve an event. So the actions you can do here, a bunch of different things. You can bash lock doors, evade, leap, you know, special actions on your card. You can search areas. You can unjam your weapon. You'll be doing a lot of that. And you can see what it actually uses up. So if you unjam your weapon, you actually use up your action, because remember you get an action, a movement, and a combat. But if you unjam your weapon, you also have to use up a movement or your combat. So let's say I'm standing here, you know, there's an alien maybe right next to me, even here, let's say like that, and then my weapon's jammed. So I unjam my weapon and then I give up my movement. So I still have my combat, so I can still fight him, or vice versa. So, or if he was here, maybe he was coming up and I want to kind of get out of his way or something, and then I could use up my action and my combat and then still have my movement left. And so all of these different actions that you can do, tell you what you can do. So you can do evade, action, and combat. So evade is basically if you are engaged, which basically means you're in melee combat. I can roll to get out of melee combat, because you can't move unless you use the evade, but you've got to give up your action and your combat, and then if you get successful, then you can run away if you want. So there's all kinds of different things you can do here, you know, interact with different things on the map and stuff. So you're going to move basically up to your movement speed, and then maybe take an action, and then maybe do combat. And again, combat here is, this is the range like so. Now, one thing that's really cool, and it's very similar to Ravenloft in that set, is the agents will move basically, you know, hex by hex, or tile by tile, so to speak. But the aliens will move area by area, and they usually move to the center. If there's another alien there, then you just kind of pick wherever it goes. And the agent's range is actually going to be area by area. So this is actually a range of 2. So you can see 1, 2, like so. But this would be a range of 1. But if you were here and you were adjacent, no matter how many areas are in between you, you're still adjacent, so it's not silly. So that's adjacent, and then this, of course, would be adjacent there. And so different abilities, like if you've got the shotgun, will maybe do area damage if you're close enough. And the cool thing is, like, well, how do I figure out the, you know, the range of area effect? Well, it's just the area. So if anything does area damage, you just look inside that area, and anything else that's in there is going to get hit. And I already talked about how you roll dice, and then whoever the defender is going to roll 1 blue dice for each hit that is hit against them, maybe modified by different special abilities. And then you're going to draw a close encounter card at the end of your action thing. So this deck is going to be made up based on the scenario here, and this maybe say we'll activate all aliens at range 3 or more, or this one will do, let's see, activate all Nexus. Let's see, activate all Xenobetas, activate all aliens. So you're going to pick those up and then activate them. Now, what's going to happen here is each player is going to draw and control a certain number of aliens to start the game. So here we've got the spine critters, and you can see these are blue spine critters. And then you've got Xenobetas, and these are blue, because the aliens will have different types or similar types, but they'll have different colors. And so the blue ones are a little bit stronger than the green ones. So what's going to happen is that based on the this card that we draw, anybody that has an alien that's at range 3 or more is going to look, and then they're going to activate and then walk down this AI here. So if he is at range 0, move away 2 areas. If he's at range 1, you just look at, you know, whoever the closest agent might be, attack with blaster and move away 1 area. And then you go all the way down here too. If he's not really within range of anybody, you move 1 area towards the closest agent and regenerate. He's got a regenerate thing, which means, this tells you what it means up here, heals 1. So the AI is just different for each of those, and whoever controls the alien that's activated by whatever encounter card is done, they'll do it. And here you can see it tells you what the attack might be. It may say, you know, attack with blaster. Here's the blaster. It rolls 3 red dice. And here's the amount of, you know, hit points and stuff it has. It has armor, and the little battery means it basically resets every turn. He's got no armor. He's got 2 different attacks here, and so the game is going to be basically about managing your objective, you know, trying to, you know, tactically do the right thing, and then also, you know, keep the aliens at bay. And like I said, also really trying to, you know, stay kind of out of line of sight of some of these signals, so you don't trigger some of these different aliens from, you know, swarming and, you know, maybe locking down a particular area that's vitally important to you. At the end of each round, after all players have gone, you've got the event cards here. These are going to trigger out more teleport signals to come out, different special abilities. A lot of times these will be a special event here. So this will be defined by whatever's in the storybook. So you'll have sort of, you know, story specific events that you can count on happening, you know, maybe like somewhere between like turns 5 and 8, you're going to know that one of those events is probably going to happen. So that's pretty much the gist of how the game works. I just thought I'd give you a little bit detailed view of some of the miniatures here. You can see these gray ones here obviously are the the agents. Now sometimes you can get different special abilities that will give you some really cool things. So you can control this sort of little mech looking guy there. We've got this sort of little turret thing here. And then one of the missions actually, it might be more than one, but this is the one I know about. Basically you're in here and then you can come in here and sit and then actually use the gun that's here. So you can see you're gonna roll 5 red dice with a range of 3, do some area damage. Like there. So basically that's pretty cool. I use that in the mission where you defend off a bunch of sort of wave after wave of aliens there. So we got some different aliens there. You can see him, he's pretty neat there. And then this red one, there's one red one in this. Now I have the sort of the distributed release, not the Kickstarter with all the bonuses. So there's one red alien here, sort of the mean baddie sort of boss guy. If you get the Kickstarter, obviously you're going to get a whole bunch of other cool stuff. But yeah, just wanted to show you some of the different, that gal there is pretty cool. Here's our sniper. You can see him shooting there. He's pretty cool. So there you go. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. So I did say I would show you the app, and this is the iPad app. It's also available for Android tablets. Let's go ahead into the Galaxy Defender app. So you can see here, this is where you're going to kind of manage your campaign. So let's start a new game here. I'll start that. Let's call it test for now. Go ahead and hit that. So we're going to load that. It's going to load up here. So it's got a couple of different things here. So we can go into manage our Marine. And so here you've got his default stuff here. Here's his default things. I can add a couple of things. So maybe I'll add a skill here. And then so I can say he got this skill. And then I can add, let's see, device. So we got the fake lure there. So I can then save that. So I'll save him. And so we keep track of, what we've got here. We can go back. Let's see, we can go to improved weapons, and these are the things that are basically stored in the headquarters, because there's a quote-unquote a headquarters in the game. And so as you sort of do the reinforcements, you collect the alien artifacts and get the different improved things there, then you can use this to manage all of that stuff. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the overview. This game is amazing. Probably will replace all my Ravenloft and Drizzt stuff from it. I don't know, because it's two different themes. One is XCOM, one is Dungeons and Dragons. But basically it's almost like they took a look at that system, which I think is pretty good, and they went and fixed everything that anybody ever had a problem with. So the way the monsters spawn, I'm just going to do a straight comparison of those two. The way the monsters spawn in the Ravenloft stuff has always been kind of a weird issue, where they kind of get to jump on you and everything like that. Now it made exploration kind of interesting because you had to be careful, but you still have to be careful in Galaxy Defenders, because you have got to really kind of line up your line of sight and try to pop those signal teleportation tokens at the right time so that you don't get overwhelmed and things like that. But it gives you a very sort of XCOM-y feel, because sometimes in XCOM or some of those strategy games on the computer, you can kind of see a silhouette of where the guy might be, but you're not really able to visualize them on the screen, and that translates very nicely there. The alien AI and things like that actually works really well. One thing I don't think I mentioned in the overview was, if you've got two agents equidistant, then you take the agent that has taken the most damage. If that's the same, then you take the one that has the least HP. So it always goes basically to the weakest guy, which you don't want, which makes the game kind of tough. And I will say the game is tough. I haven't won any scenarios yet, but whatever, I'm still going to review it. I kind of thought of not reviewing it. I played the first one twice, the second one once, and whatever. I was really close one time, so no big deal. But and I can see kind of ways that I would actually play better, because I'm still kind of learning the system and learning the tactics and things like that. So the one thing that's really cool that I noticed between both scenarios, and then I kind of read ahead and read some of the other scenarios, is that your approach is going to be very different. It's not one of these where it's like, oh, the scenario is just kind of slightly different. These are drastically different, and also they kind of weave in this nice story-driven campaign, which is one thing that, I don't know, for whatever reason, they never did with the Drizzt and Ravenloft stuff. I mean, they kind of tacked it on, hacked it on there. That's always not usually a huge problem for me, because I can kind of fill in the gaps. Honestly, I mean, Ravenloft, I played through just about every scenario there, and they're not linked at all, but by golly, I linked them up in my imagination, and I was okay with it. But this is really cool, because you're going to have different agents level up. There's no reason you can't bring in new agents. You can play with different player counts. Some of the missions, require a certain number of agents to be present, but there's no reason like you couldn't solo all of them yourself or just play, everybody play 2 agents, because it has that XCOM feel where, yeah, we're grabbing new alien technology, upgrading the different agents' abilities, but the agents are going to die. I mean, if you've played XCOM, you know that. You're going to lose an agent that you spent a lot of time on. Yeah, you can go back and reload a save. Nah, I don't like to do that. But then you can bring in a new agent, kind of, get them outfitted and things like that, and have them kind of play through the scenario. You're not really necessarily playing from the point of view of one of the agents. You kind of could do that. But you're kind of playing more from the point of view of, home base, or, sort of the politicians or the generals kind of manipulating the strings, the puppets that these agents might be. So, again, it kind of fixes the AI problems of Ravenloft and things like that. It fixes the whole absence of a campaign, which, that system was begging for. And it's just much better in terms of, instead of the grid base, the hex base, it adds a lot to it. Now, there's a lot of optional rules that I think I'm going to start playing with, with sort of facing and a couple other things like that. So that'll make the game a little bit harder. I did notice that there is a mode where somebody could play as the aliens. Honestly, I just read it. It didn't look that interesting to me. But the combat is very cool. Getting the special abilities is really cool. Another thing they have is the character progression, which doesn't really exist in Ravenloft except in a one scenario thing. But I really like how you level up in this, where you can get a special ability, you can get different basic tactics and advanced tactics, get new weapons. I like how you're trying to collect those 4 different alien pieces to go and kind of send back to home base. Here's the XCOM thing again. You've kind of investigated and discovered alien technology that they're going to send back down to you, a awesome alien weapon or some cool new device or something. So you have that kind of thread running through all of the different stories as you kind of level up your guys and things and play the different scenarios. There's a lot of scenarios available online already. There's a way to kind of track your progress. There's a lot of support for this game above and beyond that box that I showed you. Now, what I showed you, again, is not the Kickstarter bonuses. I don't really feel the need to get that. I'm really enjoying the game, so I'm kind of like, oh, maybe I should get those extra pieces and things. But there's a ton in here. So if you missed the Kickstarter, I would go ahead and get this, because you got a ton of replayability of going through the missions, going through in different ways, because like sometimes if you lose a mission or don't quite win enough, then you have a different thing, and that really adds to the story arc, the narrative. That exists wholeheartedly. A lot of times people say, oh, the game has narrative, because it has event cards with flavor text. Not so. I mean, not always. This one has that woven through across all the different things, because you have all those choices. You can replay it again, play it with new different characters and things like that. You could have a campaign that you're running, and then if somebody else could drop in with an agent, and it's not going to break up the storyline at all. Or it's not going to break up your party. You can kind of drop in and out of this. And the minis look great. The iPad app is really cool. I showed you a little bit of that. Honestly, can't recommend it. One of the better games that I've played. I kind of have hit I was hitting a streak there, games I was just really, lukewarm or didn't like at all there for a while. And maybe it was just kind of coming off the end of 2013 or something. But now, I'm for some reason, like the last week or two has been lots of games that I really enjoyed. This is probably at the top of that list of games that I've played recently. Just a lot to immerse. And the other thing I'm trying not to forget is each agent feels very different. You got the sniper versus the marine and the healer guy and different things like that, and the kind of the heavy weapons guy. They play very differently, so I like that. The different aliens also play very differently, and you've got sort of the blue and the green, the kind of the weaker versus the stronger, but the different alien types also will play very differently. And there's not a ton of different types, but there's enough. And the AI is kind of, a little bit more fleshed out than, example, in Ravenloft. You've got a little bit more few options there. And you really got to react differently to them. So the tactics there of some of the aliens that are sort of do like a strafing run, or some will swarm around you and try to melee combat you. Different things like that are pretty cool. And you make good use of all the extra tokens to change up all those different scenarios as well. So I'm just trying to sell you on it at this point. But really take a look at this one. I expect this one to hopefully do very well, because I think it's just across the board production values, rules, you know, just the amount of love that's already been invested into the game with, you know, the extra stuff online and everything. Definitely, you got to take a look at this. Thanks.